do not convert the money to Naira or Ghana cedis or rands, because if you convert it to
But
Naira,
determining your why will really help you to persevere in times of, the hardship, in times of the rejection, and don't give up.
LinkedIn is the in thing these days.
Yeah.
And what I've noted with LinkedIn is
So for
that,
instance, I myself, I actually work in the NHS, so I am able to see firsthand just the impact of, you know, what this shortage occupation means to the NHS. So please do your research on, is this salary going to be enough to maintain me and my family when we get there?
what is up, guys? Welcome back to my channel, the channel where we keep things real. And today I'm excited because we've got a special guest. Her name is, just introduce yourself.
Hi guys, my name is Tess from the YouTube channel Told by Tess, and on my channel I share a lot of useful tips for those who are looking to relocate to the UK.
Yeah, so guys, what I can assure you is that she's going to be bringing us valuable information. I know a lot of people always come to my inbox, they're always asking, I am failing to find a job here in UK. Where can I find a job here in UK? And things like that. And Tess has got valuable information that she wants to share with us on where you can find the job. Everything that you need to know about, for example, the health and care worker visa if you're coming here to UK. And it is not only the health and care worker visa that can get you here to UK. If you go to Tessa's channel, she always shares different job vacancies. I've had people asking me, is it only the carers jobs available in UK? Is it the only route that you can use to come to UK or not? And the answer is, it is not the only route that you can use to come to UK. And Tess is going to be shedding some more light on that. And I can assure you, you're going to love it. So Tess, just before we dive into the video, just tell us briefly how long you've been living and working in UK.
Wow, I've been living in the UK for well over 20 years now.
Wow.
It's ironic, yes. I actually made a video on this just recently, but I've been living in the UK for well over 20 years. Yeah, a very, very, very long time. I've been working in the UK for just a bit over a decade. So, I've been in
Wow.
the UK work industry for at least 10 years. So,
Yeah, so
yeah.
which means you know everything, you know all about UK, right?
A little bit too much about UK, you could say.
I love that.
I've been through the system, because I came here when I was pretty much very young, so I've gone through the secondary school system, I've gone through college, I've gone through university, and right into the work industry. So I've really experienced the UK through different cycles, which is what I try to share with people, obviously, on my channel, to encourage those who are looking to relocate to the UK to keep pushing and to share some of those avenues and experiences with them.
Okay. All right. That is amazing, because if you've been here in UK for over 20 years, which means the knowledge that you have is far better than the knowledge that we have. And I'm excited about that. So guys, get your pens and papers ready, because she's going to be dropping some juice. And before we get into it, don't forget to smash that like button. And without wasting any of your time, let's get into it.
I'm a savage, yeah. Classy, bougie, ratchet, yeah. Sassy, moody, nasty, yeah. Acting stupid, what was happening? Bitch, what was happening? I'm a savage.
So Tess, since you've been living and working in UK for the past over 20 years, what are your thoughts about the health and care worker visa?
That's a very good question, Pauline. Well, obviously, for those who have or may not have been following the UK and the immigration system, the health and care worker visa obviously was launched just in recent years. But I think it's obviously a really good visa. I know quite a few friends and family of mine who have relocated to the UK using this particular visa route, not necessarily as a carer, but certainly in other health professional roles. So, dentists, nurses, etc. So they've definitely been able to utilize this visa to come to the UK to work, and now they have their permanent residency rather, and they've been able to also bring along their dependents into the UK, because they're here. But I think the health and care worker visa is a fantastic opportunity, really to bring health professionals into the UK system. The UK's health system is massively, massively, you know, in demand of a lot of these shortage occupations that we're talking about. So, for instance, I myself, I actually work in the NHS, so I am able to see firsthand just the impact of, what this shortage occupation means to the NHS. So it's very important that, I think, if you're an international person and you're looking to come and you have, the skills that are required to help you migrate to the UK using the health and care worker visa, I'd strongly encourage you to, seek that route and try and use it to actually come to the UK, because it's it will help you in the long run.
All right. So are you basically saying it's worth it to come to UK using the health and care worker visa?
I would absolutely say yes. It is worth it to come to the UK. It is worth it to come to the UK using the health and care worker visa. More so, it is worth it to come to the UK. Obviously doing a job that you want to do and you'll be happy to do, and a job that will pay your bills, because I think that's very important. I think that whilst we talk a lot about, care jobs and coming to the UK, as a carer, etc., etc., there are other jobs that I think a lot of people need to look into doing to help them come into the UK. And I think what is very important, which a lot of people actually don't talk about, is when you see that job, and you see the salary, please do your research on, is the salary going to be enough to maintain me and my family when we get there? On one side, it is good that people are looking for jobs in the UK, but on the flip side, like you yourself, Pauline, will know, things are not cheap abroad. Things are not cheap in the UK. A lot of things are very expensive. So please do your research and make sure that all your avenues are well covered. The salary is enough to cover your living expenses, but definitely it is worth it in the long run.
So, guys, I think the most important thing that Tess is putting across here is, do not convert the money to Naira or Ghana cedis or rands, because if you convert it to Naira and Ghana cedis, you say, OMG, this is a lot of money. What you have to look at is, okay, I'm going to UK. Where am I going to be staying? How much is the rent? How much is a transport? How much are my bills? How much am I going to spending? And at the end of the day, how much am I going to remain with? That's why I
Exactly.
always say, before you come to UK, always use Numbeo for comparison. If you don't know Numbeo for comparison, I'll leave it in the description box, whereby you go to an area, if you're coming to Belfast, for instance, you know how much is the rent, how much is a loaf of bread, how much is transport, how much is a pair of jeans. You know everything about the area. So before you accept a job, when you look at your salary, look at all those things. Like, don't convert to Naira, because if you convert to Naira, you will think, I am going to be a millionaire in the UK. Yet that's not the reality on the ground. We don't want you to be disappointed when you come here to UK, but we want you to be happy wherever you're going, and we don't want you to be living from hand to mouth and end up borrowing because the salary is not meeting your basic needs. So that is a very, very important point. You mentioned a point that it's not only the health and care worker visa that people can use to come to UK. I've seen that on your channel, you post so many different jobs, and there are certain jobs people come here and ask me, is it the only route that you can use? No, it's not the only route. What other jobs have you seen that people are using to come over to UK?
That's a very good question. There are actually people who come into the UK. I mean, if we're talking about the jobs that don't require experience and things like that, the kind of low skilled jobs, you can come into the UK on, if you go in through like the carpentry route, for instance, you just have to find someone that's willing to sponsor you. and it is coincidentally actually a job that's on the UK's shortage occupation list. You can come into the UK, as a fruit picker. You can come in through various different agricultural type roles. Of course, the most common route a lot of people use under that is seasonal worker visa. But if the job is on a long term basis, then you can certainly use that avenue to come in. So there are definitely other routes you can come in. There's obviously a lot of occupations within the hospitality sector that is usually also advertised for those who are looking to come into the UK using the skilled worker visa. Okay, a lot of them basically, if people go on the UK's shortage occupation list, there's a massive, which you might be able to link for them down in the description box below. Basically, what this list is showing people what jobs are really, really in demand here in the UK, but there are not enough people to actually cover them in the UK. So it means that employers are already actively looking for people to fill these jobs, which means that it will place you in the best possible category to actually be able to apply for these jobs. It will give you more of a chance to apply for these jobs. And I would encourage people to look outside of just applying for care jobs. Why? Because care jobs are really, really competitive. Like you said yourself, you get people asking you, is this the only jobs? Are these the only jobs? They're not the only jobs. You can get, jobs within teaching, for instance. There are lots of, the UK needs a lot of teachers as well, which is why they've also, recently made some changes to help them recruit more overseas and foreign teachers into the UK because they realize that demand. So please, I would really strongly suggest that people should look outside of just the carer roles, because when you're looking outside the carer roles, you're also casting out the net a bit. You're expanding your own chances of actually being able to secure a job. Because if you imagine, if there's over 100,000 people applying for one care job, your chances
That's
are very
one.
slim.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
try and look for other skills that will enable you to be able to come here into the UK that might not be as competitive. Teaching is an avenue that has just opened. Maybe you could try and get some teaching experience where you are. Maybe you could try and do the QTS, the IQTS, whatever it is that's the equivalent, to help you migrate through that route. There are other routes that people can take, and sometimes you might even find that some of those other routes are even better paying than the care job.
Yes.
So it's just something for people to think about. But when you examine, when you look at that shortage occupation list, which is always updated with new jobs on a, not new jobs, rather new occupations on a regular basis, then you can decide for yourself, oh, okay, the UK has added this new category of jobs, or rather this new category of occupations which are in high demand. Maybe this is something that I could look to apply for. It's just something to consider. It's a new year. Let's take a new approach to how
Yes.
we're doing things.
Yes. Speaking of which, guys, I've got exciting news for you. In tomorrow's video or the day after, I'm going to be sharing with you these hot jobs. People are not applying for these jobs, and they are hot jobs, and they are high in demand, and they are constantly rolling out jobs. Like there's a vacancy here, there's a vacancy there, but people are not applying for those jobs, and I'll come and share them with you in tomorrow's videos. So if you haven't subscribed to my channel, I don't know what you're waiting for. Subscribe to my channel, hit that subscribe button, it's free, and turn on the notification bell so that you don't miss when I upload this juicy video. Okay, guys? And Tess, another thing, I know that we are saying people are supposed to explore and look for other jobs. And I've seen that in your channel, you bring in all sorts of jobs, like different types of jobs that people can actually explore. Where do you manage to get those jobs? Which sites can people use to look for those jobs? Like I've seen you post for carers, you post for data scientists, you post for welders, you post. Where can people get those jobs? Which sites can they use?
That's a good question, Pauline. There are lots and lots of sites that people can get a lot of these jobs that I share, on my channel. I've also obviously shared some of these sites already on my channel, so people can, have a look. But one of the most popular sites that I find a lot of people don't use enough is LinkedIn. Okay, LinkedIn is actually a very, very great site. People just have to learn how to use it, because LinkedIn can be such a powerful resource that if you set up your profile properly, you will actually be in a position where recruiters are literally the one calling you.
Exactly.
Okay, so but that requires knowing how to actually set up your LinkedIn profile properly. But the other second popular website, like you mentioned, is Indeed. Indeed is actually a website where I get quite the vast majority of the jobs I share on my sites on. Then there is Monster Jobs. Monster Jobs is also really good. Then there's Total Jobs. Total Jobs is also another one that I think people don't use enough, or maybe a lot of people don't know about it. But Total Jobs is also a really good one for those who are looking to look for visa sponsorship jobs across virtually any occupation. These are very broad job websites that virtually anybody who's looking for a job, visa sponsorship, or you're already here in the UK, you can find jobs on these sites that will basically help you to come into the UK or get a job here already in the UK. And then, of course, there are websites that are suited particularly for those who want jobs within a particular industry or a particular niche. So, say if you're someone who works within finance, there are particular websites that are just for finance professionals. If you're someone who wants a job within teaching, there are websites that are structured just for teaching professionals. If you're someone who maybe you are an international student and maybe you're already in the UK and you're thinking of, what sites can you go to where you can target recruiters that are looking to hire graduates, there are specific websites for that. So there are a variety of different websites depending on what it is you're after and what your particular job role is. But what I would always say is that when people are looking for jobs in the UK, whether you're outside or you're inside, always try to use a combination of the broad job websites, so places like Indeed, LinkedIn, Monster Jobs, Total Jobs, etc., and combine it with the specific niche websites or specific niche agencies. So, for instance, within finance, you have, a site like Hayes, for instance, which is basically an agency that, focus on hiring those within finance, particularly. If you're within the care home, you want to focus on, applying to particular care homes. Just off of the top of my head, you have Avanza Care, who are an employer that basically recruits from overseas. So these are just some options that people can use when they are actually looking to apply for jobs. And I think the more of them you utilize when you're looking for a job, the easier it will be for you to actually be successful in getting a job here in the UK.
So let me ask this question. What increases the chances of one being picked up for example, for an interview? What I love about LinkedIn is that sometimes they just see your profile. You don't have to put any effort. If they see your profile and they love your profile, they can actually reach out to you. That's why people should use LinkedIn, because LinkedIn is the in thing these days.
Yeah.
And what I've noted with LinkedIn is that companies, they advertise. Like in Northern Ireland, there's a company which advertised healthcare assistant jobs, and not even one person applied to that company until they closed. And when I looked at the job, they'd already closed. And LinkedIn shows you how many people applied. It was zero people. Zero people applied, and it was in Newcastle. There, it's Northern Ireland. Like I always say, Northern Ireland is the best place to come and live and work in, because it's cheap. But because people don't use LinkedIn, no one saw that post, and I saw it late, so I couldn't share it. No one applied. That's why it's important to use LinkedIn. So for these other sites, what increases your chances of you being picked by the recruiters?
That's a good question. I would definitely always say the things that will help you increase your chances will include, having a well structured CV. Definitely that's the first thing, because the first thing any recruiter has to go by is your CV, and they are looking at it within seconds because they have thousands of CV for them to look at. So if your CV is not properly structured, if your CV does not properly sell your experience and what you can offer to that recruiter within the first, 2 to 3 minutes of looking at it, then you won't stand a chance. So it's very important that you are tailoring your CV to match the skills and experience that that job is looking for. So if you've done a lot of jobs, covering different areas, etc., don't use just a general CV to apply for, a care job, for instance. A care job wants care experience. So they want to see your care experience. That's what they want. Or at least, even if you don't have direct care experience, maybe you have experience where you have some skills that are transferable into the role of a carer, and would be valid. But I think sometimes the problem a lot of people have is that they say, oh, this is my CV, and it has everything they've ever done entirely, related plus non-related to that job, and they push it there, and that doesn't work. Another thing is you have to structure, your supporting statement, which is what they call it, or in some cases they call it cover letter, properly as well. Again, you have to make sure that this is tailored. It is showing very clearly what your skills and experience is. How do they match to that job that you're applying for? That's very, very important. What can you bring to that company? Why are you applying for that job? Why you? Why should they pick you? Because remember, it is not just you that is applying for that job. There are millions of other people. So you have to be able to convince that recruiter within minutes, seconds, that you should pick me. I'm the person, my CV is unique because I have, 7 years plus experience in this field, or because, I've worked for this many number of companies within, X number of years, for instance. So you have to be very specific about it. If you've worked for big organizations in the past, mention that. If what makes you stand out is the number of experience you have in that field, mention that. That if you've done particular qualifications and certifications that you think not other people would have done, mention that. So you really want to highlight what your unique selling points are and why the recruiter should pick you over someone else.
Understandable. So, guys, I'm sure you can hear her. She is loud and clear and straight to the point. You need to be able to stand out because the competition is very stiff. You are competing with thousands and thousands and thousands of people. And remember to also use the application tracking system. You should not use one CV for all the jobs that you're applying for. If you're applying for domiciliary carer, make sure that you tailor-make your CV to match the dom carer jobs. If it's support worker, because the roles are different. It's not like all healthcare assistant CVs are supposed to be the same. Just like in nursing, I can be a nurse. I'm a pediatric nurse, right? I'm pediatric qualified. I cannot apply for a midwifery job using a pediatric CV. You understand what I'm saying? You have to make sure that your CV matches the job that you're applying for. And if you've got anything special about you, because like there are some certain things that I can say are special about me that I can include in my CV, which are going to be different from any other nurse. You get it? Which is going to make me stand out and make me look different from the rest of the people. Add that to your CV so that you're easily picked for interviews because you are unique. But if you're just like everyone else and there's nothing unique about you, they're not going to pick you. Tess, thank you so much for sharing this valuable information with us. Make sure you do check out LinkedIn because LinkedIn is posting thousands and thousands of jobs and people are just not using it and they are missing out on a lot of opportunities. They are competing for jobs where one job vacancy has got thousands of applications. Whereas on LinkedIn, there are care assistant jobs with visa sponsorship. No one applies for those jobs. I'm not sure whether I will look for that job if I can find it, just to show you an example on the screen that it had 0 applications. If I can't find it, that's it. But do use LinkedIn. So, Tess, are there any last words that you want to say to my precious audience?
Yes, Pauline. There definitely is. I think the only final words I will say is that you need to determine your why for why you want to come to the UK. Why do you want to relocate? Because I can totally understand the frustration, with looking for a job. It's hard enough looking for a job inside the UK, let alone looking for a job to help you relocate to the UK. It's even more competitive. But determining your why will really help you to persevere in times of the hardship, in times of the rejection, and don't give up. Don't give up. It's a new year. Renew your hopes, but also renew your efforts and keep at it. And if there's anything that people feel that they don't have enough answers on, definitely research. Of course, Pauline shares a lot of stuff on her YouTube channel, but definitely research and read wider information as much as possible to help you. But guys, don't give up. If you want to relocate to the UK, you can, and you can do that this year. So
yes, you have to keep fighting and fighting and fighting and fighting until you realize your dreams. So this is all that I wanted to share with you guys, and thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share, and turn on the notification bell so that you never miss any of my videos. Tess, thank you so much for coming to my channel. We greatly appreciate it. And guys, if you are interested in relocating to overseas, not only as a healthcare assistant, there are different types of jobs that you can, or there are different types of routes that you can use to come to UK. Just rush over to Tess's channel. I'm going to leave the link in the description box. Just subscribe to her channel and you'll not regret it. You'll definitely not regret it. I'm sure those of you who subscribed to Clara's channel the previous week, you have benefited a lot because she has shared a lot of valuable information. And I've heard people come back to say, oh, thank you. She's really sharing valuable information. Tess is also sharing very, very much valuable information. And you would want to stay glued to her channel so that you never miss out any new job opportunities. Thank you so much for watching, guys. I will see you in my next video. Bye.